participation of members authorized under Minnesota statute section 13D 0.21 due to declare local health pandemic. The city will be recording and posting this meeting to the city's website and the YouTube channel as a means of increasing public access and transparency. Board meetings are public and subject to Minnesota open meeting law. I will now call this meeting to order and ask Kelly to call roll call so that we may verify presence of the quorum. Also, I'm going to want you to include an icebreaker when your name is called. And the question today would be, if you were a mystical creature from a folklore or legend, or maybe even a fairy tale, what would you choose to be? So now I'm going to turn it over to Julia for roll call.
Hey, thanks, Leslie. I think we are actually one short of quorum still. I might need to count that again. Oh, we are. Great.
I counted 10.
All right, well, I'll call the roll and we will see. So when you hear your name, you can say you're here and also answer Leslie's question, which I'm very interested to see what everyone says. So I'll start from maybe the end of the alphabet. Yolanda.
Here.
Do you want to answer if you were a mystical creature, what would you be?
I'll pass, thank you.
That's good. Vanessa.
Vanessa's here, and if I was to be mystical creature or create something, other love, because I love everybody who they are having.
Vanessa, you're going in and out there for a second, but I think I heard most of that.
You can get me. I said I would choose mother love. I love everybody for who they are, how they are, and where they are.
Appreciate that. Anthony Taylor.
I'm here. And good to be here. I don't know any mystical creatures, right? So I just want like 3 wishes. That's all I want.
That might be a genie. That might be a genie. I'm not sure, but
There you go.
You'd want the wishes. You want the wishes, though.
I want the wishes, and that's it. And the first wish is to get 3 more wishes.
Sounds good to me. Roxanne, you're next.
I don't know many mythical creatures either. I was thinking of like Bigfoot and like that that snake that comes out the water that nobody knows what it is. But I'm thinking probably the most like exciting mythical creature maybe to be, even growing up, was the Little Mermaid. So I'll probably be a mermaid.
Excellent. Michelle.
Hi, yes, I am here. And I was thinking actually that I would like to be the genie. So I guess Aladdin is who I would want to be, giving people their wishes. So Anthony, you can have all the wishes that you want.
Aladdin wasn't the genie though, but I don't remember the genie's name, so it don't matter. But
that's true. So whoever the genie is in Aladdin, that's who I want to be.
That's Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, right?
There you go.
Great choice. Leslie.
Okay, I'd say a phoenix that rises from the ashes to be reborn again. So I pick a phoenix, and there's 30 different mystical creatures, fairy tale, fairies, gnomes, all those cool things that you used to read about when you're growing up, or even see movies with your kids or grandkids. So there's 30 of them.
Dragons. Nobody said dragons yet.
Let's see, Jackie.
I'm here for my mythical creature. My zodiac sign is Sagittarius, so I think I would have to go with the centaur. Also, I've always been a slow runner, and it would be nice to be able to run fast.
Anita.
What are we doing?
We are calling roll, and icebreaker question is, if you were a mythical creature, what would you be?
I like what Roxanne said. I think I'd be a dragon. So I could burn the heck out of people who irritate me sometimes.
Hey.
I'm gonna be honest that way. Yeah. Sometimes I wish I could breathe fire.
Andrew.
Like that, Leslie?
Present, and I'm with Anita on that. A fire-breathing dragon. I know in recent movies, dragons are getting a lot more powers, a lot more, a lot more than fire-breathing. But yeah, that's it right there. That's the ticket.
Awesome. And Akia.
And I guess kind of like everyone, dragon as well, for like some different kinds of dragons. So kind of like guardians of the various ecosystems, like a deep sea dragon and Atlantis, I guess. But yeah.
Love that. Love the specificity. Kelly, is that quorum?
That is. Also, we've had somebody join on the phone. Who's on the phone?
Lene is here too. Lene's Larry Bird.
Oh, right. Yes, we have Larry Bird.
Sorry about that, Lene. I didn't realize. Lene, do you want to answer the icebreaker?
Yes. Here and I don't know if it's mystical, but I would be Albus Dumbledore. I hope that counts.
Awesome. Yeah, do we want to run through the guests really quick? Okay, the person on the phone, the 6497 number, it looks like you're maybe trying to talk, but we can't hear you, unfortunately. Kelly, do you know the like star, whatever you're supposed to press when you're on the phone?
I think it's *6. But yeah, can the person on the phone, can you hear us? Maybe not.
All right, we can come back to them. James, would you like to introduce yourself?
James Trice, Public Policy Project, Environmental Justice Coordinating Council. And I'm also a Sagittarius. My birthday was a few days ago, so you took whoever that was. I figured it was who would have chose the Centaurus. I would have chose the same one, but I will move now to choosing the vampire.
Awesome. I'm also a Sagittarius, so we should make a club. Laura Brethheim. Sorry if I messed up your name.
You got it. It's Brethheim. I'm Laura. I am a student at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs at the U, and I know Kelly, and I'm just here to learn about what you're doing in the Green Zone group. And for a mythical creature, the first one that came to mind was a flying horse, I think. That seems like something that would be fun.
Awesome. Welcome. And I feel like I've missed someone. Peggy, have you introduced yourself yet?
So I'm not that up on mythical creatures, but I was thinking about Glenda the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz, and also historical, I think it's an actual real historical person, Helen of Troy, one that brought the soldiers in and the Trojan horse. So that'd be me. And I'm a member of the Sagittarius Club as well.
Awesome. I think Joanne might have just joined. So Joanne, we're doing
Go ahead.
We're doing, we just did roll call, and we're doing icebreaker. What mythical creature would you be?
Oh, I'm Joanne Goddard. I'm a member of the Green Zone. I live in McKinley. I would be a unicorn. Always wanted to be a unicorn. I was hoping when everybody said that the vaccine was changing your DNA, that I would become a unicorn, but I didn't.
Awesome. I think that is everyone. Kelly, do you want to say your mythical creature?
Sure. So I'm Kelly Molman. I share pronouns with the Sustainability Office. I like the first thing that came to mind is like I feel like in some show or book that there's like these like little like squirrel rabbit creatures, but I have no idea what they would be called. So I just have that visual in my brain. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure they have special powers.
Excellent. For myself, I will also join the Sagittarius Club and be a whatever the creature is, horse person. And with that, I will hand it back to Leslie.
Well, thank you. I think that's a centaur.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the yeah. Well, we're gonna do it.
Real quick, can I say something, Leslie? And be clear, when I say vampire, I don't mean any vampire. I mean Blade, played by Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes.
Okay, if you're gonna be a vampire, that would be the best to be.
Yes, I'll be Blade, black vampire.
Okay. And he drives a nice car.
Yes.
It's old.
Okay. So now we're gonna do adoption of the agenda and the meetings from last recap of November. And Julia, will you want to do roll call if we're gonna adopt it, or if there's any changes anybody sees that need to be done on the last meeting we had?
Do we need a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'm looking for a motion to do adoption of the meeting and agenda and accepting the minutes from last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I will second it, Joanne.
Thank you. Julie, you want to do roll call again, please? Hello? Julia.
Sorry, I was saying, Yolanda, you're on mute, but I was on mute. Apologies. Yeah, Yolanda, could you go first?
I do.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yep.
Roxanne?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Lene?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Anita?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Akia?
Yes.
And I think Julie just joined. Julie, we're approving or voting to approve the agenda and minutes.
Yes.
Great. That passes. And I think I'm handing it back to Leslie.
Okay. Well, first before we go, thank you with that. And before we proceed to our agenda, I'd like to recognize Akia for graduating from the University of Minnesota in December. And we can say, hey, another C-Fans member, hey! So congrats to you, Akia.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, Kelly, we can paste in the link a copy of our agenda. It is also available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. And today we'll have updates on our current projects, reflect on accomplishments from 2021, plan for our goals and objectives for 2022, and end with announcements and open space to items for future meeting, if there's any at the time. Our meeting on November 9th included a presentation and discussion with Hennepin County about their natural resource plan, creating a subcommittee on the Upper Harbor Terminal site, updates on the community air monitoring project, and approving the letter to the City Council for the Green Zone and the budget request. Do I have an motion to adopt the agenda and approve the minutes from November 9th? Again, I guess I'm repeating myself because I'm reading a script. So anyway, we won't repeat that. And I'd like to turn it over now to Jackie for land acknowledgements. Thank you.
As we meet here today, we give thanks to the land for providing our meeting ground, wherever we may actually be on the other side of our screens. And we give thanks to the Dakota and Ojibwe people for their land stewardship practices that have kept the land fertile and the river flowing since time immemorial. By showing up to this Green Zone meeting, we all agree to continue and co-create these stewardship practices, following the wisdom of the more than 30 nations indigenous to this land, while keeping our most vulnerable community members and ecosystems at the center of our attention. Thank you all for this commitment, and now we can get to work, and I believe I'm passing it to Andrew.
Yeah, just one more kind of order of business here and recapping the group norms, how we want to conduct ourselves here within the meetings and in our conversations. So reminder, this is a public discussion, purpose not to win an argument, but to hear many points of view and explore many options and solutions. We want to seek clarification when you don't understand the meaning of someone's comments. Everyone's encouraged to participate, but you may be asked for comments if you haven't spoken. It is okay to pass in those situations. Reminder to let everyone have an opportunity when you speak, be brief and to the point. Try and keep it to one person speaking at a time, refrain from side conversations, pay attention to the person speaking. Individuals should have about 3 minutes to make their comments. If it's running over that, the timekeeper may ask them to wrap up their thoughts. If the meeting becomes heated, task force members can use some of the following strategies: muting themselves or muting others from the leadership positions, or call on other task force for support. So moving forward into what we want to cover tonight, we'll just jump right in. I think as you guys may remember, a big goal for the year ahead is to host a Green Zone Summit, and we wanted to give some updates on the previous conversations and kind of what the next step is for the Green Zone Summit. So just going through some of the notes from the past committee meetings and the joint Green Zone discussion. We will have one coming up, so if you want to be more involved, feel free. We can invite you to that future meeting as well. But first thing we wanted to really identify was the larger goal and purpose of the event. So we during that time, we discussed identifying opportunities to collaborate, which groups we wanted to include. There's still more conversation to be had here, but I think we did come up with kind of some initial guidelines on who we'd like to have involved. We'd also like it to be information gathering for leaderships across advisory committees and organizations. We want to use the event to build relationships. Again, a collaboration of environmental justice groups in Minneapolis to pinpoint collaboration opportunities. And then bridging the inside-outside strategies, so advisory committees to the city and external organizations. Green Zone obviously exists as an advisory committee, but we don't want it to be just that. We do want to bridge the gaps between us and outside organizations. So we'd like to hear goals, objectives, takeaways, and connections to other outside organizations. We want to share work, inform advisory committees, and the takeaway would be to how to leverage advisory committees for inside strategy and city accountability. We discussed possible dates. We're targeting spring of 2022. Would like to coincide that with Earth Week, as we are a green zone, and Earth Week would be an appropriate time for us. So that is the goal, is to hit this in spring 2022. The discussion we did have around timeline would be maybe a multiple day event or a series of events across a couple of days. Ideally, we'd do this in person. Options for location could be the convention center or St. Thomas campus downtown. We're trying to think of ways to utilize the city of Minneapolis to help us put that event on, as there's some incentives to using spaces that they have control over. We'd like to cater from a local restaurant that's in one of the green zones, preferably the Northside green zone, but open to restaurants from the Southside green zone as well. Would like to invite partners and others from the community. So emphasize attendance from youth or college groups to get the most out of our collaborative approach. And thinking of transportation, we would offer prepaid parking or buses to help involve as many community members as possible. And then outside recommendations, we want it to be interactive and a space for connections, so not too structured and not a long list of speakers that you just sit and listen to. We do want it to be a conversation, but maybe having some things with information tables and booths to gather more information than just a voice conversation. And then maybe some speakers on the successes we've had or successes for future opportunities. But essentially, the outline we're putting together, I think we do want it to be more than just our groups here that are on the call, and we do want it to be something that everyone gets some value out of. So these are the guidelines we put in initial conversations. We do have a follow-up meeting scheduled for later this month, and we'd be happy to invite additional conversation in that meeting as well. Any questions just as we went through, obviously a lot of information there, but any initial thoughts or questions regarding the agenda on that item?
Leslie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I heard you say probably having refreshments from the green zones, including Southside. I don't know. I don't know about how other people feel about it, but I kind of want to get some more Northeast people involved with stuff. And I don't really know, besides McDonald's, what's over in the Northeast. Sorry, and I don't even eat McDonald's. But I'm just saying, I think that because you and Jackie and a couple other people are Northeast, that we should think about that, because mostly all our projects has been focused north or south, and I really don't know what's going on over Northeast, and that's why I keep asking you guys or Jackie you guys to weigh in about Northeast, and that's my only comment about this whole thing. That's it. Just for food catering, maybe Northeast besides McDonald's.
Yeah, no, there are some other options outside of McDonald's. I think organizations that we've maybe worked with in the past is a good start, but open to additional. Like I mentioned, we are gonna have a follow-up meeting on the green zone, or on the green zone summit. So if you'd like to be involved, maybe send a question or a request our way, and we could get specific dates. I don't think that it's finalized yet, Kelly, on which day we're meeting at. So there's still time to join.
Yeah, I think it'll be either the dates that we're looking at is either Monday the 20th or Tuesday the 21st. So if you're interested in being part of that conversation and you weren't emailed about scheduling the time, just shoot me a quick note and I'll send you the invitation to that.
and following that meeting, obviously we'll come back to the larger group with a summary of those ideas and kind of that next step of criteria that we're looking at.
Seeing a lot of good comments in the chat, but
yeah, thanks guys.
If there's nothing else anyone wants to say, maybe we can move on to Kelly's update about Green Zone development criteria.
Yeah, so this will be short. So I know that the Northside Green Zone, as you all know, you've spent a lot of time putting together development criteria, and it probably feels like there hasn't been a lot of conversation about it since this past spring when we were trying to get a meeting with city folks around who do development. A couple brief updates. One is the Sustainability Office about 2-ish weeks ago gave a presentation to City Council on a sustainable building policy for city buildings. So this would be any buildings the city is newly constructing or major renovations. And within the sustainable building policy, they included the Green Zone's development criteria. So this means, and then this policy was adopted by City Council. So we now have a mechanism to hold the city accountable to the Green Zone's recommendations, at least when it comes to city-owned and operated buildings within the Green Zone. So that in itself, I feel like is a pretty big win. So pat yourself on the back, celebrate that one. We still have, yeah, there you go, Leslie.
When does that law go into effect? When does the law start, or when does the ordinance?
That's a good question. I don't know if they discussed a start date or if it's just like immediately. I can follow up on that. But yeah, it was, if anyone wants to watch the recording of the presentation, just so you get an overview of the policy, I can send the link out to that in a follow-up tomorrow. But the discussion from City Council was pretty amusing. There was no follow-up questions on this policy itself. They just started like congratulating each other on all the great work that they've done. And it's like Councilmember Gordon and Schrader and others who had initially drafted the resolution or the staff direction for staff to work on creating a policy. They were all, they're departing because they weren't reelected. And so they were just like congratulating each other, and Council President Bender was like, oh, and my good friend Councilmember Gordon has done such great work. It was just like one of the most hilarious meetings after like so many of them have been like ripping each other to shreds over issues. So if you want a good chuckle, it's worth a bit of time. So that's a positive. And then I had a conversation with one of Roxanne and Joanne's and others partners on CMEJ, Shalini Gupta, who asked or who suggested that an area of work for community in this next year could be around pushing for a city ordinance on cumulative impact analysis or cumulative levels and effects. And this is part of the Green Zone development criteria. It's not all of it, but it is a strong part of it, to do an environmental analysis that looks at not only what is a new development adding from an environmental perspective, mostly related to air pollution, but also other environmental impacts. But so not only looking at what the new activity is, but measuring that with all of the existing conditions. And that would be a huge win for if done at the city level, because it would mean that it would be projects like smaller than those that trigger a state air pollution permit on the south side, and it would be brand new for the north side. This is not something that's required. So if community members are working towards an ordinance like that next year, just sort of naming that could be something that the Northside Green Zone and Southside Green Zone want to push for as well. So we kind of use that inside-outside strategy. Yeah, so those are the two updates that I have. I don't know if Roxanne or Joanne, if that conversation has come up at all with CMEJ yet. I know it's sort of like just sort of a brainstorming phone call that I'd had with Shalini. So I'm not sure if there's any.
It's been something we've been working on for the past year. We've been working with some student lawyers from the U of M who've been helping write like draft cumulative impact policy, and just kind of going back and forth with them. And also I've been a part of some conversations with Copal and other folks who are like still pushing forward the state level cumulative impacts bill with Fu Lee, but now it has like, I believe, other authors as well. And so, yeah, I mean, I was just on a podcast with one of my young people this morning at like 9 a.m. We talked a little bit about the cumulative ordinance that we've been working on, gave a little information about that, what cumulative impacts was, and just continue to try our best to talk about and get the information out to people about all the ways in which we are trying to, or not trying, but all the ways that we are doing the work for environmental justice. So yeah, I could talk more about that with folks if they're interested later.
That's awesome. Is the podcast available to share?
You know, it was online and I asked for a link, but I hadn't heard back in the message. I'll ask again if there's like another link for it. But as far as I saw, it's on Facebook right now. And I could share the link somehow with you, Kelly. And then if people are on Facebook, I think they might be able to see it.
That's exciting. That's great. I'm glad you're working with law students at the U. I actually recently connected with a professor at the U, and that was one thing that I was thinking. It'd be great to have law students to help do some research because, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago.
I'd love to invite them.
Yeah. 2 or 3 years ago, I'd reached out to one of the attorneys in the city's attorney office, and they're just overwhelmed and don't really have the capacity to take on like research for possible policies. So I hadn't been able to do any of that. So very exciting update. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah,
I think
thanks,
that's
Roxanne. I'd like to get some information and look at those cumulative impacts and how you're targeting and what are you targeting and what certain areas. So I'm interested. So let's stay in touch, Roxanne, please.
For sure, y'all. And I got lots of information. I mean, there's more students from the U of M that we talk to. Folks are coming from everywhere trying to like help out with information. I got maps, all type of different layers of like burdens happening in our community. We're trying to get it like transparent so that as you drop each page, you kind of see the accumulation of things. So we're trying to put stuff together, and I'd love for folks to help out. So I'll just give me, an email and I'm down to talk.
Thanks.
Sounds good. Kelly, is that all for you? Great. And do you want to take it away with billboards?
Yeah. So as you guys might remember, earlier this year, we dispersed some remaining funds in the Green Zone account. And one of those projects was to fund 2 billboards that Leslie had looked into that are within the Green Zone. I think in earlier meetings had asked for, to brainstorm some ideas on what to include on those billboards. And as of right now, I think the sticker that is within that message board right now is a message on how to add a sticker. So we were hoping to maybe take a few minutes here, either brainstorming as a larger group or potentially breaking out into smaller groups on just gathering some ideas and actually getting this thing moving on actually putting our message up on for the world to see. What we discussed as a leadership group prior to putting this on the agenda was potentially, some of our accomplishments over the past few years since the start of the group, goals for the future, just kind of as a public message, or potentially using the one of the billboards or both of the billboards to advertise some aspect of the Green Zone Summit. So just to kind of get people's ideas maybe flowing here, and I guess I'll open it up to the larger group on, if we want to bust out into small groups here and come up with, an idea or two in each group and come back as a larger group, or if it's just something we can open forum right now. Does anyone feel passionate about advertising on a billboard and knowing how to put words to paper?
Okay.
Kelly, do you have the ability? Oh, go ahead.
I'll start it off. I know for the jam, it has to be a link, and we could get linked in to be able to do whatever we do on the jam board. But I'll just start off. Green Zone's coming to break you off. It's justice. So I don't know. I'm not going to be that poet, but I just think something not too wordy, but to let people know that we're there fighting all the injustices. I don't know. Just something. I don't know. I'm just.
Can you repeat what you said, Leslie?
The Green Zones task force coming to break you off. Injustice. And I know that sounds simple or hood, but I don't know. Because I'm looking at the Green Zones as being the superheroes, because each one of us, even in the South Side and our predecessors, to me, I'm following in your footsteps, and each and every one of your work that you've done from the beginning, it's just amazing to me. And I'm just thankful to be a part of this group, even though I sound corny and I keep repeating myself about it. But to me, I look at each one of you as superheroes, because everybody brings amazing ideals and passion to even break off to their own accomplishments. And we're going to go further into that. So that's how I look at each member here in this group and Southside. So thank you. And that's how I see it, as superheroes. But, I'm corny.
I appreciate you getting it going, Leslie. That's you got to start it here. So whatever it takes.
Roxanne, I know you work with a bunch of really creative youth at Juxta. I'm wondering if there's been any environmental justice messaging with them or through the EJ tours that you've done that might, or there might have been some inspiring words.
Yeah, Tasia often says when she's doing the work, she's doing it for her baby's future. So a lot of times she talks about her baby and the young people. So maybe something around that, for the next generation. I don't know. I was going to post some words in the chat. I'm just like copying from just different conversations online around green zones. I'll just put some words up here.
I had made a suggestion that maybe we open it up to the youth or some other, some youth, and have a contest for their wordage to be on the billboards, because the kids are so creative, and then maybe have their name down at the bottom, but award them, like, maybe if we got extra money, maybe give them $50, 20, $25 to
I
have
like
their
that idea.
slogan.
I like that idea a lot, like especially like a contest or something. I think about all the people who have some sort of art form, and they might, like, wouldn't it be dope if we had like a music video, or a music song about it? I don't know, a contest instead, to make it sound more fun instead of a grant process.
Yeah, and maybe we can flash it on KMOJ, KDWB, or somebody, and just
or we could put it on the billboard. we could put it on the billboard.
Fill your
Put some
fill
money,
the
put
space
some
with your
dollars on
idea.
it.
Fill the
A
space with your
contest
idea.
and like connect it and try to connect it to like a mass text chat or something that people don't have to go online or send an email. Like they can contact through some sort of text. I don't know how to do mass text, but anybody who's good with social, figuring that out, to get youth involved, they're more like phone oriented. And so if we had something where they could text to find out about the contest, and something really simple, like a really simple form. I'm sorry, I don't know why my phone ringing in the background. Nobody has this number. So yeah, a contest sounds dope, and something that people, if they see dollar signs and, you know, write a song or a poem or whatever about environmental justice, you know, I don't know, something like that.
So Roxanne, in that's, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Was that Miss Vanessa?
Yes, I think all of your comments are great, and I think we should also consider having a um, youth advisory board. You know, like a set of youth that would also give their opinions, their thought, or also work with green zones. We need to have the youth involved and on council as well.
I think that's what Akia was talking about. And Akia wants to work with the youth. I don't know what he's doing, but I know Roxanne works with the youth. I think Michelle with the edible gardens. And I don't know how many others of us in these groups work with the youth, but maybe we can send it out that way and have the youth that you're working with, and then maybe reach out to other people, community stuff that we might know that have youth, and then just put the contest like that and send a mass email, and then that way they'll know. But I think we should open it, you know, have the youth put their slogan on there, and hopefully we'll have funds in the future, since now we're getting money of recognition from the city, that we can maybe even expand to more than one billboard. But I feel the contest would bring a lot of youth interest in it. And there's a lot of kids out there doing stuff that we don't even know about.
So just for clarification, I think both ideas were maybe said, but are we talking about a contest to do the design on the billboard, or advertising a contest for something else on the billboard?
No, for the wordage to go on the billboard. And that is a good idea. I don't know. I can look more into it. So maybe we could have one of the kids who's really creative with art draw the background, and then the word is from another kid. So it's like bam, bam. We'll get 2 for 1. So it's decorated instead of just having a plain whiteboard or something plain in the back with the wordage. But then the creativity of another youth in the back, or they can collaborate together, and then have the wordage from another youth on there that collaborates depending on how the group or the team works, and then give them a stipend, because we have money, and I don't know how much we really have. I think it was like $6,000 or something that we're trying to figure out to do with. But if we can have that, hold it back, and then post it and give the kids the opportunity to be involved, because I'm like dead for wordage on that. But I just think giving it open, and like Vanessa said, start the committee with youth, and Akia brought that up before several times. And if that's the case, I nominated Kia to if we do work with the youth, to be that liaison, and Roxanne as well, because I know she speaks highly and works deeply with them. So I don't know where you're at, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, I work with young people, not necessarily under 18. They all have bills, and I'm very cautious of inviting young people, and like, unless we're gonna pay them for their time well, you know, because their skills are higher up skills. You know what I mean? They're not just kid. You know what I'm saying? They're like they're skilled at what they do, and so yeah, I'm down to invite them. If we want to talk about like what we would pay them. But definitely I pay the young people $50 an hour as it is, so they would have to be more than that.
But I'll just say, this is a contest. Here's $50 for this and that. I know that Markia Keys is working with she's over at the Environmental Initiative. There's youth there, and these youth are probably high school, getting ready to go to college. So that's the youth I'm looking at to give them extra little change in their pocket. And I get what you're saying, even young adults anywhere like 25, 30. In my age group, 40 is a young adult. So I'm just saying to give that, they can work on it, present it. We can pick a team, we'll pick it, and then they can get the money awarded. And maybe we have an announcement on KMOJ, KDWB, use all the social media resources that bring that to that youth. And then that probably will open up other opportunities for their creativity. So not trying to pay them an hourly rate for, I'm sorry, just here.
No, I feel you. I got it. I'm just saying I'm not going to invite, I'm saying young people that I work with that would pay to a volunteer opportunity. I just thought that we were coming up with something for the billboards for more of like a mass, opportunity for folks to come in. And if we worked with youth, then I'm just saying I would pay them. And I would, I'm saying, like volunteer time for me is real rare lately because I am already doing it at my capacity.
Michelle, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt the conversation that was going on. It was just a part of just a different note, and I cannot add notes on my phone. So just kind of went along with the one somebody wrote, do you know you're in a green zone? Essentially, you live in a green zone, and then just talking about what a green zone is, because most people I talk to have no idea what a green zone is. So it isn't real splashy or anything. But maybe it could go with one of the other things. But I think helping people know what a green zone is really important.
Well, I think it's good that we got the ball rolling here on some of this stuff. Would it make sense for a small subcommittee on just moving this plan forward, or what is everyone's thoughts on it? It sounds like it's kind of mixed on how much time we want to dedicate to just the billboard creation piece versus larger engagement themes. So I'm wondering what the best way for us to just kind of move forward on specifically the billboard design, and how to tie that in with the larger goal of getting youth involved. Is that something anyone has a specific idea on how to move forward?
You know what? I like Michelle's ideal. I'm sorry, I should have raised my hand, but do you know what? You're in a green zone. That speaks volumes. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Yeah. I just want to say that Project Sweetie Pie has a project that, is somewhat remotely related. We got a Green Partners grant with Hennepin County, and with it, we want to hold a number of town hall meetings, charrette, town forums, etc. And we have some monies toward that. We also have a group of young people that will be helping facilitate those conversations. And so I could see us working jointly to create the infrastructure to hold some of these sessions through some of this effort that we want to do with Hennepin County. And it's really around global warming, climate change, and what what messages and what language we can get the young people to create posters and artwork and the like. That's one of the deliverables.
Was that Michael that was speaking?
Yeah, that's Michael Cheney.
Michael, do you have kind of a timeline on that project itself? Is it just the beginning stages? Are you kind of along the way, or in accordance?
It's really fresh off the presses. We'll be starting to work on it here in December and looking at it over the course of the winter, trying to do some of these gatherings at large and small where we can do surveys. We've got another project through the University of Research project that looks at doing a story mapping project. So there's a number of trains that can intersect at the station. So if somebody sends me an email, whoever's leading this, then I can look at closer at what it is that you want to do and what kind of resources that Project Sweetie Pie and infrastructure that might help facilitate your aspirations.
Thanks, Michael. I think that, I mean, just the way you're talking about it, it sounds like a huge opportunity for some collaboration on the Green Zone Summit. But obviously tying in everywhere we can is going to be beneficial for both groups. So, Jackie, looks like you had your hand up first, then Kelly.
Yeah, I wanted to say that Karen Clark from the Southside Green Zone, I know that she mentioned that the Southside Green Zone has been trying to get like signs put up that say like you are now entering a green zone. So that might go along with some of the things that people are talking about the like, do you know you're in a green zone right now? And then the other thing I wanted to say, if we wanted to have like a contest, it might be easier to frame it more specifically. So ask, like, okay, I'm just gonna put out the thought that I had, even though this doesn't have to be it. But so I was thinking a billboard could have a picture of North Minneapolis in the very far past, a current picture of North Minneapolis, and then we could have a contest to design a future North Minneapolis and what that would look like with environmental justice. That might be easier just for like contest logistics is all I wanted to say.
There's another campaign. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hello? There's another campaign. I was on a panel with some folks from Appetite for Change, and there's a group out of DC that's called Equity or Else, and they want to stage some town hall gatherings, a campaign. They're doing a national campaign centered around equity. I don't know exactly yet what kind of resources they want to bring to the game, but that might be another venture that would align us with an equity thrust, which is the heart and soul of environmental justice. So I'll explore that a little further and see if they have resources, but they want to mobilize different municipalities to advance this idea of equity as kind of a core principle, a core practice in government and the like.
Thank you, Michael. Kelly got her hand up, Andrew.
It'd help if I unmuted. I was thinking, in terms of some logistical next steps, this is something where with clear direction, staff can help support. So if it would be helpful for Julie and I to take back some of the notes that we've heard. I think there's a lot of excitement around this idea of a competition, and we would want to make sure that it aligns timeline-wise with some of the work that Michael named and others. And so we could kind of pull together a proposal and then figure out the timing based on when some of those town halls might be. If we want it to be specific to the green zones and like a very clear messaging, not just about environmental justice or climate change generally, but very specific to the green zones. It could be after some of the town halls or the posters that the youth working with Michael would be doing, and they could, take what they had created in that setting and modify it for specifically for the green zone. Or I'm also thinking like McGeezy and their communications expertise might be an interesting partner to lend to this. I'm not sure if they've ever specifically done billboard ads, but they might be able to. They work exclusively with youth and intentionally with Indigenous youth, so they might have some ideas around sort of best practices for marketing language. I'm not sure. So those are things that volunteering Julia and I to write up and maybe come back to a future meeting or send via email.
I think that's a great next step, and thanks for volunteering the time for you guys on that. Any other comments, questions, or concerns regarding the billboard conversation? Anyone have anything else to add?
Yeah, I wanted to add
Sure.
that I think that one of the one of the first messages, if there's multiple, but like people really don't know what a green zone is. So like if it said something like, what is a green zone? And like again, having some sort of follow-up text that like where people can text it and then they get the information. Because if people see a billboard, they're probably already in transition or movement, and we'd have to say something that would make them kind of that they also had a way of trying to get the information or trying to, because you can only put so much on a billboard. But yeah, maybe, yeah, that's all I was gonna say. Maybe something like, what are green zones?
Yep, I think that's a great idea. As I was typing QR code, though, I don't know if pulling out your phone and trying to get a QR code while you're driving is, I don't know if that's what we want to be advertising. But no, I think something to follow that's just quick, easy for someone to say, how do I get more information? Where do I go? Type of thing.
You can always say Google us.
Yeah, Google. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, starting from a blank sheet that we had, I think there's some good stuff here. And next steps, thank you, Kelly, for kind of laying it out. I think that will work for us going forward. So if there's nothing else on billboards right now, we can go forward on the agenda, which gets us just a few minutes ahead of schedule. But I think this could take some time on just defining next steps for us here. So we want to go over the Northside Green Zone specific work plan and potentially look at schedule of meetings for the year ahead. So the first step in that is really kind of covering some of the accomplishments of 2021 and how we want to define our success going forward. So it's collaboration here on feeling like what we did well in 2021, how to build off of that, and then how we want to define our success going forward. So before we get too far down the list here, I just kind of wanted to open it up to everyone and give maybe a piece of information or something that felt like a success or an accomplishment from this year.
Okay, this is Leslie. I I don't remember the young lady's name who has the healing tables or the healing group, but I know that I heard her say that she was awarded X amount of dollars for that project to continue, and I see that as a success. And I see that everybody's still.
Are you talking about
Roxanne,
Marcy Rendon? Are you talking about Marcy Rendon?
is that the one that got like $75,000 grant for that? That came from the Green
I
Zones
mean,
funding her? I don't know
I
how
don't
much
know.
exactly.
It's an indigenous woman we worked with doing some co-counseling circles, but I don't know. Maybe you're talking about what's the other woman who's on Green Zones. I'm like, just seen her on here.
Yeah, Yolanda.
Yolanda.
Isn't she the one that just got awarded some money to continue her work?
Yeah,
Is Yolanda on here? Yeah, so that's a success right there coming from, to me, success means when our community able to start their projects and to be able to grow and have other entities support it. And it's like they blossoming. So she grew from a seed from us and then grew. So anything like Roxanne is in her own committee with Julia. To me, success means taking what we've learned here and adding to it to grow. To me, that's how I see success as the Green Zones for the accomplishments that everyone has contributed and grown from. That's my version.
Thanks, Leslie. I think as we're talking about just the kind of the billboards and how we got there with that and some of the healing circles, I think it's worth noting the funding of the continuation of the edible boulevards. I think that's something that has seen success. Now she's doing cooking classes with the foods from the edible boulevards. So I would define that as something that was successful as well.
Michael Chaney's Sweetie Pie came from us, I believe, and his work. Right, Michael? So I think,
Sweetie Pie was around first, but
I didn't know. Oh, I don't know these things.
No, but I mean, they were invested in. You're right. They were invested in, and they grew on different initiatives. Yep.
And then even with him with this Green Summit, so I see Michael Chaney's work has happened. Roxanne, the shutting down of the contaminants and all of that. Everywhere I look, it's like you can Google Roxanne and see the amazing work. So that's success too. Like I said, we got great people here, superheroes. So shutting of the Northern Meadows,
Kelly?
that should go in there.
Kelly, is this the part where I was going to show some pictures, or is this something else?
Yeah, if you'd like to, that'd be great.
Yeah, I could pull. I sent Kelly a video, but it's on Facebook, so it's in your messenger. I'm sorry. And of a youth putting together some emergency bags that I work with, and you've met her before. She's come to a Green Zone meeting in the past. And I just sent some pictures of just like kind of the work that we've been doing. That the Green Zone staff, like the staff from the city, has helped us get some funding, as well as just, the Green Zones group has voted a couple of times, I think, to support. Well, the Green Zones this year supported giving I think 10, like 1,000 or 1,200 or something. So that was definitely supportive. We just ordered some more. I'm sorry, Kelly, did you want to pull up the pictures, or I didn't know who was working there?
I tried to see if I could pull up Messenger on my computer, and I'm not sure how. I think it's just the app on my phone.
Well, I still sent you some pictures on the email if you wanted to.
Okay, let me see if I can find those.
Otherwise, yeah, we just go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I didn't want to interrupt if you weren't done.
We're waiting for the pictures. Yolanda had her hand up. Can we hear from Yolanda?
So yeah, so the Healing Circles was an part of the initiative of, I would say, those of us who started grassroots as volunteers for 18 months and kept our finger on the pulse intentionally of the community and insisted in various ways on how we were and what we wanted to see different in this initiative. And I can proudly say that I believe all of those requests, demands, conversations have been accomplished. And the Healing Circles was a subset of, we wanted to to have violence prevention, domestic violence, and other safety concerns for the community of the Northside to be looked at in a different way as a part of, it is a part of environmental justice. And so it has been a project of the heart as well as of advocacy. And then others came alongside to say, I want to be a part of that and help to facilitate that funding. And the University of Minnesota said, we want to be a part of what this looks like. And so the intentionality of the Healing Circle was and is for intergenerational trauma impacted and affected and effected to African Americans born in this country, the descendants of slaves. Why does our trauma never get healed? That is a part of the conversation. So every time we have environmental injustice, it impacts us in a different way that never becomes resolved. And we are expected to just pick things up and go on. And we see the effects of that generationally, as well as in a reality in the moment. As we have had these conversations, I always reach back to the green zones, because as you said, as you all have stated, the green zones help to birth that. The green zones committees and participants have helped these things to be birthed into existence. And I think the other component that I really want to say is that the committee's perseverance and steadfastness and anchor holding each other up through this process. We didn't always like each other, but we always stuck together no matter what through this process, because this process was a part of the trauma that we have experienced in North Minneapolis, and we needed people to see the rawness of that. However, there never would have been a Healing Circle project moving forward had there not been for the sacrifices of folks that started doing the work and held the city responsible and accountable for the injustices that our ancestors have encountered. And so now, as we move forward, the other component that we heard, I think loud and clear, is that we believe that you can do this. We believe that you have the ability and the creativity and devotion to the community to carry the gauntlet up farther than it may. Instead of it being a continual dream, I believe that it's now the vision. The vision is being implemented. So it's implementation and application, and that in and of itself is a part of the fabric of the Green Zone.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you, guys. Thank everyone, older and new, for for the support. It means much to all of us.
Thank you, Yolanda. I think that's a great transition point for us to talk about goals for next year. Obviously, just the success there is something we would want to continue, and I would want to continue trying to support as best we can from the Green Zone's perspective. I think the more, maybe just one last thing that was a success from 2021 was having an in-person, just getting to meet some of you guys. I mean, I think that's a small success, but it meant something to me. So I look forward to doing some of that stuff next year as well. So as we move towards the new year, we do want to define again what that success looks like. So I think that exercise there kind of gives us an idea of what we want to shoot for going forward, and what we have the capacity to do as well. So with some of the things we are committed to already, just through our conversations this year, is the billboards, is getting billboards up in the community and spreading the word of what we stand for, what we what our goals are, what we can do going forward. Also committed to hosting or putting on the Green Zone Summit itself. Another big project that's underway and that will continue into 22 is the community air monitoring project, and including Anita's subcommittee on that, which we do want to get just a little bit of an update on. So Anita, if you're available, we'd love to hear from you on the progress on the subcommittee and some of the points you brought up from our last meeting as well.
I see that about 6 minutes ago, she dropped a message in the chat that she'll have to step away for a bit. She'll return, so she might still be away.
Yeah, I saw her. I saw that she's still in. Remind me when she gets back in, and we can cover that piece of information. So outside of the subcommittee on the Upper Harbor Terminal, we do have some ideas as far as what we want to commit to going forward as well, and that's the community project funding, which we've sent a letter to the Minneapolis City Council. That was approved last week. I don't know, Kelly, if that's something that we would get any feedback on immediately, or what the process is for that. But we appreciate everyone giving their input and allowing us to send that letter forward as well.
Yeah, I have a quick update on that. So 2 things. One, the final public hearing for the city budget is tomorrow. And then the city council, I believe, will be voting on the final budget on Friday morning. And so we'll know then officially whether there's funding for green zones for 2022. I have heard some communication from Councilmember Cano and Councilmember Gordon's offices that they do want to support some funds, likely not anything close to what we requested, but at least some funding is more than none, which we had the last 2 years. So I will definitely send a note to all of you as soon as we see what the final budget is, and hopefully we'll have something to celebrate.
Always got to aim high. Always got to aim high, people.
That was the goal. That was the goal, yes. For those following along on the agenda, are there other commitments that we should list as far as goals for 2022? Anything that is should be added to our conversation as of right now?
This is Lene. I don't know exactly what form it's taking right now, but I haven't talked to him in about a month. But you know, Jamez Staples did get the ability to move forward on the the Youth Green Jobs Training Center at 1201 Plymouth Avenue North, which we wrote a letter in support of. So I think just in a general sense, we're still supporting the development of that building into a green job center.
Yeah, on that note, I do. So Marquita's on the call too, and I know Marquita's been doing some work with Jamez. So I don't know if you wanted to add anything in. He's also received some funding to do community engagement around the idea of a resilience hub at that site, because there is battery connected with the solar. So if there is a power outage, it's like creating a microgrid island around there. So I think he wants the green zones to also, the Northside Green Zone to also be involved in that work as well.
Sounds good. I did see that was listed on the agenda, so I apologize on missing that just as I was announcing them, but good to get the updates as well. Jackie, do you have something to add?
I want to ask the group if we want to try pushing for more council member involvement, I guess, with our meetings. Like, should we try reaching out to more council members and having them actually show up, or do we prefer not having them at our meetings?
Go ahead, Leslie.
I see we have the climate action plan, and that's cutting emissions, but there's stuff going around. There's a lot of information now about decarbonization, and basically that's cutting emissions and electrifying the city and the I want to say the poor community, but basically the Black community is a focus. And I'll send it to Kelly. So they're looking for more people to be involved with the Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition. And they meet once a month. And basically it's changing everything to electric from gas, but there's still a lot of blips, but it's still a new movement that's happening in the Midwest. Not for Kelly, for anybody that's interested in that, but that's a big new movement now. Basically, it's cutting emissions, the bottom line. But my thing is about the waste and where all that's going. So you know that about me. But anyway, I'll send that out. So it's about decarbonization.
For members that have been involved longer than myself, just over the past year, have there been meetings where representatives have been present? I'm not familiar with that happening in my time here.
I think we've had one meeting where Councilmember Ellison attended. And yeah, otherwise, others can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we've had council members attend otherwise.
Right, Kelly.
And given that this is such a trailblazing opportunity that has taken both it universally being impacted by a larger community as well as our nation, I'm wondering about, I've kind of had this urging to how do we legislatively translate some of the work that we've done into policy. I believe that though, unless we are at the table, we're probably going to be on the menu and things that we want and need. I heard Roxanne talk about the next generation. How do we assure some of these requests that some of these initiatives don't die with us? How do we do that? Through legislation. So I would like to see town meetings wherein we having conversations with some of these folks before it's voting time, before it's election time. So where do they stand? How do we get them to help us to transition some of these projects into long-term parts of our life or parts of the daily expectations of those we live with and live around us.
I have a question. Even though we have the councilmen, we have state representatives. And in some of those meetings, they talk about green zones and the well-being of the community. And Jackie did bring up a good point about inviting city council. Can we even step it up to other people as well as far as decision makers, to have them involved to actually know the work and to meet the people behind the work, like Yolanda and all of that. So I'm just wondering if we could do that, push it even further past city council to be recognized. And that's, to me, is a success and something that I think is important, that we can get invited to the table instead of us always inviting people, and let them invite us for a change. So that's something that I think is important for us to really get recognized and to get us on the policies.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I think it's worth conversation on, if every meeting we should have some type of representative, or maybe it's something like once a quarter, or maybe it's more than once a quarter. But I do think it's good for us to have our conversation amongst each other for some parts of the conversation, and then refining it for maybe a clear message when we have one of the, someone with some of that power.
Well, Karen Clark was a legislator for years, a representative for years, and I think she would be a marvelous person to help to facilitate some of those conversations as well, to kind of pick her brain. That's just my thought.
I think that's a great idea. All right. So I guess just kind of recapping the 2022 goals. Obviously, open for it's not a closed door on if additional ideas are coming in, but as far as what we see on the collaboration right now, does everyone feel like their voices have been heard on what our goals are here for the year going forward?
Is Anita back?
Not seeing it. Maybe we should just drop her a note. Give us a heads up when she's back in.
This is Lene. I was going to suggest carrying on with some of the work that Roxanne started around emergency preparedness and climate change emergency. I don't know what we're calling that work, but I think that's important to keep on going with.
Thank you.
What is that about? Because I'm new. I don't know nothing about that. Can Roxanne explain that to us? Andrew, do you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Kelly,
Roxanne. Yep.
Were you able to pull up that email?
Yeah, I found it. I'll stop screen sharing this and show the email.
I'm visual. That's why I'm like, I could just show y'all some pictures, but I don't put together presentations too much. But so I just threw that on there because that's one of our we use graphics and different like visuals for our flyers. and the young people, well, the young person that I work with who puts these together, her name is actually Justice, amazingly. Her name is Justice Jones, and she helps out and makes like little graphics on our flyers so that we can reach out to people. You can go down, Kelly, also, because that's just a flyer. We just, so we put up these, or we got these graphics and we pass them out to people and talk to people about the initiative. This summer, it says in North Minneapolis, emergencies happen all too often, and they hit first and worst in Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities that have been denied opportunities and disinvestment for generations. North Minneapolis is also in a heavy industrial corridor amongst many other industrial facilities. The CMEJ is working to bring control and preparation to Northside residents through engaging community members and practicing emergency preparedness, developing solutions to environmental justice issues, and connecting community members with one another. So we looked for folks in our community. We mostly had a team of young Black women, but we did have some Black men with us too. And we did door knocking. We worked with the Promise Zone with Julianne's. She had some folks from her, I forgot what they called. Julianne, what do they call the Vistas? I think she had a Vista. America. Okay. And they were helping us in the beginning to kind of prepare for this work as far as like where we were going to target the most. So we chose to like try to merge issues. So like issues of violence and issues of like, you know, just people just out on the block or just areas that had the most issues of crime or violence. We reached out to those roughest spots in the neighborhood. And we went out and we talked to people about just being prepared, because not only did we have like an unrest and we've got this pandemic going on, but like with climate change, our communities are always hit the hardest. And so we just talked to people who, you know, already struggling in the community. We gave away like 50 emergency preparedness bags. And I had young people put that together too. I paid them, of course, for their time. They also ordered a lot of the ideas were just like basic from our old like green zone ideas for emergency preparedness. So like the solar charger that I forgot whose idea that was originally. Do you guys know? But there was a solar charger idea. And we kind of added that into like these healing kind of kits. But really the bag just turned out to be mostly, I think there's a picture down here. Just, is there another picture of like I think my daughter is putting together the bag. Since we don't have a video, you can see here, Justice made sure that there was food there, that like if the electricity went out, in these bags was like water too, so that you could pour the water into the bag and it self heats up the food. So there was like beans and rice meal, there was like spaghetti meals, there was different meals. It's really, I think, like army preparation food or whatever, like if you get out in the field and you don't have electricity. So if the shit hits the fan, you know, 50 people got a chance to have this bag that had like a first aid kit. It's just like a basic emergency kit. It had like a blanket that was really small, but you unfold it and it's bigger and it helps you out with keeping cool or warming yourself. And then there's the solar charger. There was some other stuff. Oh, there was a water straw. So like to get some water if you had to drink out of a river. I mean, hopefully, you know, I don't really know how good the water straw is. I've never been in an emergency situation, but you know, it's something else to have if the shit hit the fan. And I keep adding, I think like the bag itself is good for just like a base emergency preparedness bag, but we gave also information and did like a little YouTube and kind of passed that around to people to let people know how they could create their own bags, but like, you know, and how to reach us and contact us. We actually went out to the block when there was a lot of like, you know, don't go out there. There's supposed to be a shooting out there. And we basically went out and passed out the majority of the bags right there at that gas station to a bunch of people who were mourning and hurting. But there was a woman there who was like the mother of she was like the godmom or she was one of the mothers out there for the man who was murdered. And we gave her a bag and she was just like, so she felt just kind of like, shocked and surprised and honored. You know, she said that she talked to us. It was really good to just engage with people. We didn't know how people were going to take us having a conversation about environmental justice while a lot of people are out there already mourning and kind of on edge because there was word that somebody was going to come retaliate. But we're trying to mix together environmental justice. You know, we're trying to show people that all these things intersect, you know, the trauma, the violence, the environment, the environmental setting, you know, and then the risks that we all face together on top of that. I think one of the biggest goal was to build relationships with people and to bring this conversation in. And so, yeah, I think that was it for the bag. I think I listed everything that we put in the bag. But yeah, you know, we started a garden this year in partnership with Juxtaposition. As you know, that's CMEJ's fiscal agent. And so we work with Marsha Mace, who also, you know, I think you guys already know because we went and had a meeting there. So those are the things that we did over the summer. And still continuing to do like policy work and environmental justice tours. We did a tour with like 20 politicians from around the state, even one Republican, and talked about our policies, talked about Upper Harbor, talked about HERC, GAF, Northern Metals, even Juxta. We talked about that being like an anchor in the community for environmental justice and other things. So that was a lot, y'all. I mean, like that I'm talking, so I'm done.
Thanks, Roxanne. I knew a little bit about that, but hearing more about it is actually something I think we could definitely be involved in going forward. I mean, even putting together some of those kits or, you know, more informational even on what to do in certain situations or what resources to look for. I could see that being a part of the plan for next year. So thanks for the work you've already done on that. It's awesome.
Thank
Anita.
you. And we have more stuff coming in. We're going to make some more with the money that you guys sent us. And then, you know, we'll get those out. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, if we get to meet in person, maybe that's an event or something we can do while we're all together is put together bags or something like that. But we'll see what the year ahead holds on some of that, the rules. Anita, I saw that you are back in, and we were hoping to get a little bit of an update on the subcommittee for Upper Harbor Terminal and some of the traffic and sound buffers that you had brought to our attention, and curious how things have been going, and just update from general conversation.
Okay, there is some information at the city. The Public Works has been working on an executive summary of the Upper Harbor Terminal construction work and some of the plans that they have, specifically around Dowling and Highway 94 or the Freeway 94. And so basically what I've been doing since last meeting and now is doing my homework and just kind of reading all the information, what they've done so far and what they plan to do. And from the looks of the executive summary, they are in the plans to enlarge the exits and entrance on Dowling from 94, going north, east and west. And there is no plan that I have been able to see and what I've been looking for to do any sound barriers. And there is no plan on restructuring all the big trucks that will be closed now from Washington and 2nd Street onto Highway 94. And so if you live in the neighborhood, and I live pretty close to it, Dowling Avenue is the main exit and entrance for those diesel trucks. But so far the city has no plan for rerouting all those trucks. I mean, they have plans, but from the looks of what the map has, what they have on a map, they're not making any right turns. They're just making left turns, and I don't know if it's because of the width of the streets. They're not clear on those plans, but they're very clear on, you know, what kind of turns that they'll be working on and widening. for the trucks and specifically for construction. So my plan is I sent an email out to some of the folks who's had an interest. And after this meeting, I'll set up a Zoom meeting. I sent them all the documentation, so giving them some time to look it all over. And in our Zoom meeting for a subcommittee that will be coming up, and I'll send that out tomorrow to the folks who had some interest. And we'll decide after we've had an opportunity to look at some of that information, what our next steps would be. I've got some contact numbers for in Minneapolis and Public Works. There is the thing about the Minneapolis documents, and I don't know, Kelly, if you know this, there really is no name or email or phone number for any individual who's done the executive summaries or who's done the reports. And is that purposeful? Or is that just in
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Because it just seems very purposeful that all the documentation that they've got out there and the city website and what they put out for Upper Harbor Terminal, there are no names. There are no emails. And so we'll be spending some time, or I will be looking for people to talk to. And if push comes to shove, going to the department director himself and saying, and, you know, giving him some information of what we're looking for, what we plan to do. That's the downside. The upside is so far these plans have not been put into place. And so that gives us an opportunity to be involved in some of that implementation and some of that restructuring and rerouting that they will be doing. So we've got some time to be part of that. MnDOT, when there's construction, I know because I've worked with MnDOT in the past, they have put up and they plan to put up sound barriers in some parts of the city as freeways go along. And so far there are no plans to put any sound barriers on 94. There's plans in the city for restructuring Dowling Avenue for concerts, and they even say during certain times of the day. But you know, if you ever gone to a concert and you want to get there early, if it's an open venue, you don't care if it's rush hour, so you're going to be part of that rush hour group of going. I mean, I've done that myself. Let's leave it, 5 o'clock for the 8 o'clock concert, because you want to get there to get your seat and get your parking. So the city has plans for when there's concerts, but I don't think they really have thought this out from what I've read.
Can you email what the name of those documents are that you're looking for? Emails and just who did them. Can you email the name of whatever those documents are, so I can see if I can get someone
I
to find them?
included Kelly in that email for the subcommittee group. So Kelly,
Okay, I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Because let's see, the subcommittee group was Leslie, Peggy Clark, Joanne, and Marquita. Those are the folks that contacted me that said they want to be part of the subcommittee. If I'm missing anybody else, let me know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I just didn't speak up last time. But
Okay.
I would like to be a part of that committee if possible.
Okay, then I'll forward you, Roxanne, that email with all those documents in there.
Thank you.
There are 3 documents. One is the executive summary that lays out basically what the city's plan is to do. Another one is a big plan of the whole Upper Harbor and the construction. And then the other document is basically a map pinpointing the areas where they're talking in this executive summary where they plan to do construction. So I'll forward that to you, Roxanne.
Thanks, Anita.
Sure. So that's it.
Thanks, Anita.
Thanks, Anita.
Sure.
A couple of things left here just on the agenda for us to close out the meeting here. And the you know, it doesn't have to take this whole time to discuss it, but we do want to understand if this meeting time and if there's better meeting times for 2022, what those might be. Kelly, it looks like the dates that are listed in there, that might be quarterly meetings with Southside. Are those pre-scheduled? Okay.
Yeah, so Southside Green Zone just had their meeting last week and we discussed meeting schedule for them. They've been meeting the first Wednesday of the month and that will continue into 2022. They're interested in a joint meeting in January. I think that we're about time for that to come around as our quarterly meeting. So not sure if at least once a quarter, the first Wednesday works for Northside Green Zone members. If so, then we can just focus on the other 2 months every quarter.
Speaking just personally to the first, what are we doing? The second Tuesday, or no, the first Tuesday of each month. Is that what we've been doing? Yeah. Tuesdays is a good day for me. So I'm fine with the schedule continuing on its current path, but obviously we're here to have a discussion. So others speak up if there's dates that might work better.
A second.
I'm good on Tuesday as well.
Tuesdays work for me so far.
Is there any objections for anybody for Tuesdays? How about we do that one? Do it like that. Anybody can't make Tuesdays?
Do we put this to a vote or a motion?
Want to do a roll call on it?
Well, if someone can't make Tuesdays, then they probably wouldn't be here right now. So maybe we send out an email because I know Michelle had to leave at 6. I don't know if that's like an ongoing thing or if it's just or if it's going to be a problem every time.
She told me in advance that Thursdays don't work for her, but didn't mention any other day as being a problem. Okay. And right now we're missing Lars and Jim Vole. Jim generally doesn't have conflicts at this time, I don't think. I can always follow up with Lars and see if this time generally works for him. Would I do maybe in that if somebody does want to make a motion, oh, Jim is on, I'm seeing a chat, that would a quarterly meeting on the first Wednesday work with the Southside Green Zone? Is there anyone who would have a problem with that?
Unforeseen at this time.
You said Wednesday?
Yeah, once per quarter, then the first Wednesday with the Southside Green Zone.
Not right now, but if I go back to working with Tactical, then probably.
Were they open to possibly joining our time on that first for a quarterly meeting, or is it they kind of, since they already had their meeting, get first dibs on that?
Well, it's partly first. Oh, I think yes, for Southside. So I think it's partly that they had their meeting already, so they got to offer the proposal. But also one of the members of their leadership, Samara, has conflicts Tuesday and Thursday night. She works both of those nights.
Can I jump in?
Yes, absolutely.
So how about this? How about we compromise? One quarter we meet on the Wednesday, the next quarter Tuesday.
Southside has a conflict.
Only one person has a conflict.
There's not that many people in Southside Green Zone.
Right, but according to Kelly, only one person had a conflict, not everybody else on the south side did.
Well, I'm good at meeting on Wednesday, so I don't care.
Is there something that might be a scheduling conflict for us on Wednesdays? I think the idea of sharing those dates is fine, but if we don't have any conflicts, maybe we can just do this for them. In that case, she'll put it to motion for the first Tuesdays of the month for Northside Green Zone and Wednesdays once per quarter for the joint Southside Green Zone meetings.
Second.
Awesome. I'll go from the top this time. Akia,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Lene,
Yes.
Julie. Julie actually might be on a call. Leslie,
Yes.
Roxanne,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yep.
Miss Vanessa,
Sure.
and I feel like that was less names than normal. Did I miss somebody? Jim, are you a voting member?
I'm not a voting member, no.
All right. I think that was everyone. I think that passes.
Motion passed. Great.
We're running a little late
Yep.
behind. So I just want to point that out, and I don't know if anybody can stay a little later to finish it, because last time we didn't finish our meeting. So.
Yep. I think we're moving on to just the recap and next steps and items for next agenda. There are two other bullet points here, just as far as topics we want to discuss, but I think we covered those in our conversation today for the most part, in getting people involved going forward. Kelly, did you want to update anything on those last two bullet points?
No, I think if anyone has ideas on what we want to discuss going forward, definitely send those to myself or Julia, or just even respond to an email to everyone and populate those. The leadership team will be convening to plan for the January meeting, which will now be a joint meeting with Southside Green Zone. They had some ideas on what to talk about, which may include funding and support for green zones work, as well as potentially talking about the city's water maintenance facility. Still need to figure out some details on that yet. And then I know that there is mutual interest from both Northside and Southside Green Zone on talking with Hennepin County about the HERC. So that could also be a future joint meeting topic. But yeah, any ideas for potential meeting topics, definitely send those to myself or anyone else in the group. And then with the goals for 2022, I think those will also provide direction for how we spend our meeting time.
Can I say this? Since we're meeting with them about HERC and we never finished that conversation, I want to move, since we got to wait till January, HERC to January instead of April, because we never finished our discussion or their presentation as they came to us. So I think, I don't know, it was at Hennepin County and we didn't get to discuss it. So that's my thing. I don't know about the water. It's okay, but I'm tired of breathing burnt plastics. Okay, people, we're breathing plastic. Okay,
Got it,
they're not
Leslie.
regulating. Okay, they're not regulating. Okay, if you look at any of the air monitors from the pollution control that comes from HERC, they are not regulating the plastic that is being burnt, nor know how much is being burnt, and that's toxic. Okay, and that's my concern. It's not just on the north side. That's all 7 incinerators. Okay, so I got a thing about this plastic being burnt. So I mean, we can wait till April, but I'm still going to be talking about it.
All right. In the interest of time here, I think we have just a couple of things left to cover. And Vanessa, I think you're on. Do you have the agenda in front of you? We're going to give this space to you for next steps and items for next agenda.
Can you repeat that again?
Just based on what we had talked about here, the announcements for going forward, do you have that in front of you to read them off? If it would be easier, we can just hop into them.
Vanessa, are you still there?
I'm here.
If you have the, like Andrew's saying, if you have the agenda in front of you and you wanted to read off those announcements, feel free to go ahead, or one of us can do it if that's not available. Sorry, I didn't quite hear you there.
I'm trying to find the announcements. Hold on, I'm looking at
Gotcha. No worries.
looking at the agenda. Not seeing. I'm looking for the announcements. Let's see. I'm not seeing no announcements.
They might only be on the planning the leadership team agenda. Would it be easier if I read those off?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the agenda that you posted today. And
Gotcha. Yeah, I think they didn't make it onto that one.
Meeting notes.
Okay. Well, real quick, I can read those off. And I think Kelly will send these out in the follow-up email as well. But we have Hennepin County has released a summary of findings from their engagement on the Natural Resources Strategic Plan, which was what they came to talk to us about in the last meeting. Edible Boulevards has a cooking class with Kelly Shea on December 11th from 11 to 12:30 p.m. 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. That's on Facebook. And the first 5 participants who pre-register from the Northside get a $10 gift card to help get ingredients. Environmental Initiative is hiring for 4 positions. And maybe I'll just put the link in the chat. Hennepin County is also hiring an environmental engagement coordinator, and the city is launching a guaranteed basic income pilot, which is exciting.
That engagement coordinator position is rather interesting. Anybody get a chance to check that out?
I
No, it's they're talking about 65 to 90 something thousand a year for someone to do quotation marks environmental justice work in a professional setting. So I would take a look at that if you could see that. I've been seeing it go around for a long time, so they're probably having trouble filling that job because I don't know if they want what they say they want. And then you don't really know exactly what that position really, the role of it is. Is it like a PR campaign? Is it like we're not really sure, but I sent a couple of folks who were interested to start asking some questions. So we'll see, but I think everybody should pay attention to that position and ask questions as well.
Thanks for sharing about that. Last thing is the EPA is holding a National Environmental Justice Advisory Council public meeting on January 5th. So members of the public can provide comments about environmental issues. With that, we are 2 minutes over. Does anyone have final comments or do we want to adjourn?
I think you guys have done a great job running the meeting. You guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks guys. It's been a great first year working with everyone, so appreciate it. Best wishes as we go into holiday season, and don't hesitate to reach out if there's questions or anything I can help with. Happy to be a resource.
Yeah, tell us what kind of food they got over Northeast. I'm very interested. I
can send you a list. I'll send you a list.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Yeah, second.
Stay safe, everybody. Happy weekend coming up.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye, baby.